back to the Mix and Music Podcast. I'm your host, Dee Kei, and with me, as always, is my lovely co-host, who? Lou.
That's right. You can catch me watching Bob's Burgers any day. Latex Lou.
Hulu. Yeah, Latex Lou is also coming in the comments.
That. Yeah.
We are live on YouTube and Twitch right now, so we're seeing comments in real time.
That was quite the unexpected name.
Well, this is going to be an interesting episode because I'm reading through a book that is quite famous for different reasons. Regardless of how you feel about it, it's a very interesting read. And I think there's a lot of lessons to take out of it. This is a book called 48 Laws of Power by Robert Greene. This is my first time reading through it. And man, it's weird. It's a great book. I do a lot of reading. I love reading. And I don't know why. I am a total self-help business guy.
Yeah.
I go to the store hoping that I can I go to the bookstore hoping that there's going to be a fiction book or just a book that I can enjoy. And I look for a book that I can enjoy, but the one that looks like I would enjoy it the most is Marie Kondo's How to Spark Joy by Organizing Your Life. And I'm like, that sounds like the shit. And I'm passing by everything else because I thought that was the most interesting. I don't know. It's just something in me.
I went for Harry Potter and I walked away with the 48 Laws of Power.
Yeah, there it is. So this is something that is I need to be a little bit careful with too, because I'm no psychologist or anything like that, so I can't properly say, what is it called when you not deduce, but I can't say what my own father is or isn't, but I have a feeling is a megalomaniac, which is someone that is actually obsessed with power. So I grew up, my father who has a PhD in management, basically 48 laws of power for business, but at a PhD level.
Yeah.
And so his entire job is manipulating people to be motivated. That's what it is. Especially as a C-suite officer.
I hate to say it, but isn't that basically a life coach's job too?
We're not going to get into life coaches. But anyway, so this is something that he always brought up. He would teach me stuff when we play 500 with the friends, I won't put myself down to your level because I want to stay in charge of y'all and keep that respect. So I always offer to throw the ball. I will never catch with you because we're not on the same level. I would tell me, I was 8 when he told me that. I was damn, okay. Anyway, so this is a weird topic for me. I don't really like his abuse of power. I didn't like the way he looked at it. But there's a few laws in this book, and we're going to do 2 parts in this because we're going to skip over most of them. But there's a lot of really good stuff that is directly pertinent to mixing, to audio engineering, that I think would directly help your career, directly help your life in general, specific to what we do for work. Audio engineering, mixing. So let's define quickly what it is that we do. And Lou, after I explain each law, I want you to come up with an anecdote or a story of how it worked. This is one way or you may be surprised and you're oh, I didn't think about that, but yeah, that's true,
Yeah, there's one you mentioned earlier where you mentioned it may not relate, but I believe it does.
What's that? If you destroy someone, destroy them completely.
I'm not gonna lie, that one does relate, but I'll leave that towards the end because
holy cow!
Because there's
a bonus one.
I'm too much of a optimist to think of anything too negatively right away. I like to find the brighter side of things usually first before I resort to the negative side of things. But there is a positive side to that for a mixer.
Yeah. Well, this book is basically 48 rules using anecdotes from history of 48 laws that people should use to maintain power. And the book is written in the sense of if you want to be a king or some sort of ruler, a politician, or even in the sense of business. The point is if you... and in the book, the writing is really interesting because the author has purposefully written it and he'll blatantly say, in order to manipulate, to lie, steal, and cheat correctly without getting caught. This is how you do it. And it's it's really interesting because the book to a certain degree can feel relatively
manipulative.
Not evil, but like can be easily used incorrectly. But I think that reading this was fairly good to begin with because at least you're aware of it.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that a lot of these rules can be used appropriately to your advantage and the advantage of everyone around you. So I want to talk about that and we're just generalizing and I'm kind of refitting everything. But anyway, let's start off with law number 4. Always say less than necessary. And each law has like a little paragraph to summarize it. So I'm going to summarize it and then I'm going to talk about how it applies to our field and our career. And I want you to, talk about some personal stories potentially.
Sure.
And we're going to start off with the hard-hitting one that we both need. Law number 4, always say less than necessary. When you're trying to impress people with words, the more you say, the more common you appear. When you are trying to impress people with words, and the more that you say, the more common that you appear, and the less in control. Even if you are saying something banal, it will always seem original if you make it vague, open-ended, and sphinx-like. Powerful people impress and intimidate by saying less. The more you say, the more likely you are to say something foolish.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And in the book, in the book, it talks about how a lot of people want to talk or like explain themselves, or they want to feel understood. That's like an insecurity that a lot of people have. So people overtalk. The reason why I bring this up is I find, especially with mixing, is that if you over-explain or defend yourself, like, hey, this mix, you just come up with excuses. Like, like every open mic night, the musician gets up on stage like, I'm sick and I've been having a bad week, but here's this song, like the kind of like, that makes you look so weak.
Yeah.
And the thing is, as a mixer, if you are like defending yourself before any accusations comes, or if you're over-explaining, or that seems like you don't have confidence in yourself. It seems like you don't know what you're doing, that you have less confidence in yourself. So in turn, that kind of does not break down the wall of trust. That is always the barrier between the mixer and the client.
Yeah.
I would recommend, even if you are feeling insecure about this mix, or this mix is not turning out the way that you typically like it, or like you're not exactly sure if they wanted less bass or more bass, I would actually recommend just sending it out and see how they react. Like, don't preemptively say anything. Just like, hey, be super normal with it. Say less. Don't over-explain. And you may find out. And dude, most of the time for me, whenever I do that, it turns out that I was completely in my head, that it was totally fine, and that they may wanted a change in the direction that I thought that they may wanted, but it wasn't a big deal as much as I thought it would be to me.
So the way I can actually relate to that one, honestly, is more in the last year. I've stopped telling people what I've done to a mix or not done to a mix, even if it's in the revision request. Reason being is that it's true what it says, that like sometimes you might actually be looking at like sending out a file and you say, hey, I saw your revisions, but the thing about the bass, like I couldn't really do this, I couldn't really do that. So I tried doing this, I tried doing that. Let me know how you feel. And now because like you're second guessing it, the artist is second guessing it, the manager is second guessing it, like, oh, so this wasn't like something that's in your wheelhouse. Like this doesn't feel like something that you could have handled, and that sense of communication was just you trying to be open and direct with people. Sure. But you've divulged information that could be misconstrued. So sometimes saying less actually makes it a lot better for you. So more than anything, I just tell people like, sure, not a problem. Let me take care of that for you. And I'll do as much as I can, as best as I can, because obviously we're here to do our best, right? But once I turn it in, it's like, hey, I got everything as much taken care of to your notes. Let me know if there's anything else you need. I send it out and they'll always be like, hey, there's something different about this one. I like it or I don't like it. But typically speaking, they don't question me in the process. Now they're listening for whatever it is I did because I'm not telling them what to listen for.
Yeah. So honestly speaking, saying less, especially in a professional setting, makes you feel like you're confident, make you look like you're in control. And honestly, as an artist, they want to feel that you know what you're doing more than know that you know what you are doing.
Exactly.
Does that make sense? It's like, I want a barber who's kind of like delusionally confident in his skill at cutting hair. And that makes me feel good. That makes me like, it removes worry and stress from like the thing that is difficult, which is to entrust somebody else with an important part of my process.
Yeah. If somebody tells me like, hey, this is my goal, and it's something I haven't really necessarily mastered before, I know I'm confident in myself enough to be able to handle it and this and that, but I'm also not trying to tell people like, well, I haven't really mastered that before and instantly destroy that level of confidence that they had with me. They showed up to you.
Yeah, we've never done this before.
Yeah.
Like, I've never done this. That's not something that you want to say. It's okay that you've never done it before. Don't say that out loud.
But there's also a difference between the type of person that goes, figures it out, and learns a new skill versus those that just turn it away because they're kind of in the moment of like, you know what? I don't know what they're doing. Now, I'm not saying become a mechanic overnight. I'm not saying that. But if somebody says, hey, can you do the vocal edits for me? And can you do this delay at this tempo? But you've never tempo synced a delay before. That's probably something you should learn how to do.
Yeah.
But you might shoot yourself in the foot by vocalizing, oh, I did it, but I wasn't super sure how to do it. So let me know if it sounds right to you. Because now they don't know if you even programmed it right or not. It could be right, but now they're questioning you.
Now, the reversal of that is to lie. For example, if you are trying to sell a broken piece of gear and you don't disclose that it's broken because you're trying to say less, that is lying. That's dishonest. That will hurt you. So there's a difference between not disclosing everything to appear stronger or to appear more confident, and to not disclose anything because you're hiding something.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? You're not hiding anything. You're just, you just don't need to say as much sometimes.
That's it.
That's it. That's literally what it comes down to. So we're going to move on to the next law, which is law number 5, I think is, this is a really good one. This is something that we touched on the last episode that I think we can bring up again and redisclose. Law number 5, so much depends on reputation. Guard it with your life. Reputation is the cornerstone of power. Through reputation alone, you can intimidate and win. Once it slips, however, you are vulnerable and will be attacked on all sides. Make your reputation unassailable. Always be alert to potential attacks and thwart them before they happen. Meanwhile, learn to destroy your enemies by opening holes in their own reputation. Okay, that's not as... Then stand aside and let public opinion hang them. Okay, so
let's.
I don't think you need to do that. I think that naturally happens. You don't need to do it.
I was going to say, let's also define what an enemy is in our industry.
Yeah,
there's no real enemy unless you got that big of a like Tupac Biggie beef with somebody.
Yeah.
Like you got to be willing to gun someone down to have that kind of beef.
Shit.
I'm just saying, like, at what point are you like, you know what? Fuck DK. His mixes aren't even that good. Yeah, you know what? I don't even like that guy. It's you got to really not like somebody to like intently go after their character.
Again, that's like the brutality of this book. So we're going to kind of tone it down. But one thing that we mentioned at the very end of the last podcast episode, if you listen to it, is we talked about how if you are the type of person to miss meetings once a year, or if you're the type of person that messes up and doesn't quality control and you send the wrong stems, or like you don't send the files appropriately or in the format that they asked for, you didn't read through the delivery instructions of the files and how they want their name. Like if you mess up once or twice a year, that's way too much. That is way too much. Like you may be thinking that you're the boss because you only mess up or you only show up late to meetings once or twice, like maybe a once every few months. That is way too much. Yeah. And so what we're trying to do is that in a world and in an industry that is quite frankly, heavily dependent on reputation, the one thing that I see is valued more and more the higher up the ladder we go is the reputation of work ethic.
Yeah.
This is insane. Like, managers don't want to work with engineers who talk way too much, have to explain, that they have to continually quality check, have to continually follow up with. Artists don't want to hire engineers that they have to completely remind and like, did you forget about me? Or do I have to do this? Hey, you sent me this revision that I asked for, but it's wrong. You didn't even do the right, it's cut off. The ending is cut off.
Yeah.
Dude, you set an appointment for 2 p.m. for a Zoom meeting and you're showing up 2:10. Like, it's small things, but these small things kind of definitely impact your reputation. And as the book says, like you got to protect your reputation with your life. And this is something that I think is directly correlated to the music industry. Literally, I'm not saying, what I don't want to do is incite fear and say, like you fucked up once, that's going to hurt you. But quite frankly, I mean, if I'm going to be completely honest, you offend one person, like one person that's important, right? Or
word travels fast.
Yeah, word travels fast. They may ruin your fucking career.
So how many times have I said it in the past that bad news travels 10 times faster in order to negate
Humans
that
are
one
wired
issue that you
Yeah.
created? Even if you didn't intentionally create it, one issue could travel 10 times further than one good thing you did. You're going to have to do 20 good things to negate that one, and that's not even a ratio you want to rely on. Like, you could do a million good things, but let's put any artist or any celebrity in the limelight where they did something great for years and years and years. Then one little tabloid comes out and it's like, whoa, who is this person? Now they're poking and prying their entire life.
Yeah. So again, like as a mixer, as an audio engineer, I think more people should take more control and use more discipline to protect their reputation with their life. I think that is honestly the differentiator between those at the top and those at the bottom is just straight up reputation that is earned.
Yeah.
Earned. That's really important. Reputation is not given to you in most cases.
No.
If someone gives it to you, that's because you earned it in some way or another. If you're 18 and you got a shot to the big leagues, that's because you're reliable or like you're a genius or something superior about you. So it's like and one way to be superior, if you are not a prodigy, one way to choose to be superior is to be really, really reliable.
Yeah.
That is so important. And again, according to Robert Greene, protect it with your life. We do not recommend, I mean, I personally, the ideas of like attacking people is not as relevant, I feel like. So
no, honestly.
Because that affects your reputation too.
Yeah,
I do think though,
one
like
company that like I walked in the room as they were talking shit about me.
Oh, nice.
They never got hired by me ever again. And the sad part is that one project, I had paid them closer to like $12,000 in like 1 week's worth of work for them. So the funny thing is like, it was one of those where it's like, hey, you know, these people would have told me anyways, because they actually ended up telling me everything you told me the other day. But me walking into it, that's impressive.
Yeah.
Why would you do anything like this and expect me to continue wanting to work with you?
I'm sorry that happened. That's a terrible situation. But I mean, that's a very important thing. I think part of your reputation is the poison that you speak. Yeah. Or, you know,
if you're a negative person, I'm sorry, why would anybody want to be around you?
There you go. So keep that in check. Just, you know, self-discipline goes a long way. Yeah. Another thing that I would highly recommend as well is part of the reason why it's, in one way, it's so easy to get to the top is that most people do not guard their reputation with their life. Yeah. Most people do not consider trying to create the self-discipline. And to be honest, those people at the top aren't safe gatekeeping for any other reason is because they don't want friction in their life. Yeah. And most people at the bottom create friction. Yep. It's not gatekeeping because they don't like you. It's because you show up to meetings late and you don't deliver files correctly 100% of the time. Yeah. Like even if you do it 98% of the time, there's someone out there that's more professional that takes this more seriously than you, takes the extra 5 minutes to pay fucking attention that is going to get hired, even if their mixes are worse. Yeah. That is the honest industry, the honest truth of this industry. You are keeping yourself from getting to the top.
Let's be honest, like half the time, how many, when you walk into somebody else's studio session, you might have the ego call to yourself where you're like, wow, I could have recorded this better, or like this session is shit or something. Cool. But the reason you're not in the room is because this client has a relationship with this person, right? And if you see them always with this person, that probably means they have a level of consistency that works for that client.
Yeah, and in most laws, there's a reversal, like how it could go bad. So like the last one I said, okay, you don't want to lie though. In this one, there is no reversal. It's just the God's honest truth. Okay, another one that I want to share is number 6, court attention at all costs. Everything is judged by its appearance. What is unseen counts for nothing. Never let yourself get lost in the crowd then or buried in oblivion. Stand out, be conspicuous at all costs. Make yourself a magnet of attention by appearing larger, more colorful, more mysterious than the bland and timid masses. The reason why I want to bring this up is I want to bring this up in the context of social media and branding. Again, the difference between someone that charges a very premium price for their services and a normal price for their services is 98% branding. And again, part of that branding is that reputation that you've built, obviously. But if you are, front of mind is first to hire. There's a reason why ads work. Even if you have a less superior product, but you're always running ads, your product will sell.
Yep.
Most people, because people see it often, it's repeated, they start to trust you. There wouldn't be an advertising business if there wasn't some sort of psychological effect on human beings, right? Even if you are aware of it.
Yeah.
Right? So that's something that is super important. You build another quote, you build a brand, whether you do it on purpose or not.
Yeah.
So for example, if most people are building a brand of not being active on social media, to be kind of in the clouds, to not be very known, to not be taken very seriously. And you're kind of boutique. Maybe it's a cool thing. You're kind of boutique and very you're my guy that I don't want anybody else to know about because you're my secret sauce, whatever. That doesn't help you in a business sense, right? To be someone's hidden secret sauce. So one of the things that I would recommend, if you're going to build a brand, regardless of whether or not you do it on purpose, then do it on purpose. Be front of mind. Don't go on social media unless you're planning on posting. That's another thing. Don't just be a lurker. Post, even if it's just something silly like stories or whatnot. There's another quote that we often hear in the business is, the more you look busy, the more busy you get.
Yeah.
Looking busy gets work.
Yeah.
So it's you don't want to be the type of guy that's always offering discount and honestly looks like you don't get a lot of work done. Look busy, and that will make you more busy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, honestly, true. I get it's kind of funny because I feel bad whenever I receive these texts because some days I really just want to help people out, but I do get a little bit busy with the projects that I'm on. Recently, this past week has been pretty chaotic for me because we're doing a lot of move-in and new projects coming in. But the funny thing is this. I get texts that say, hey, I know you're pretty busy, but I wanted to see if I can book you for 2 hours. I just need to ask some questions and this and that.
That's already if they say something like that, that means they trust you, they respect your time, so they're going to pay full price, and they're not going to ask that for that many revisions because they actually trust you.
Yeah, and it's okay, what did you need?
That's just a great client. That's a great mentality that you want people to have before they come to you.
It's kind of funny because the request on this one was I need somebody to dial in my vocal chain. I was wondering if you could help me with that. I'm so you like the way I make vocals sound. That's a great reputation to have.
Yeah. So anyway, just to recap, court attention at all costs. Now there is looking needy. The reversal of that is looking really needy, to look really desperate.
If you're doing the trend dance, that's kind of...
Well, no. That's better than nothing.
That's better than nothing, but it's also nothing to do with being busy. In fact, it looks like you just have more time on your hands.
This goes into the next law that I want to share, which is law number 8, which I think is going to relate to that in general. Make other people come to you. Use bait if necessary. When you force the other person to act, you are the one in control. It is always better to make your opponent come to you, abandoning his own plans in the process. Lure him with fabulous gains, then attack. You hold the cards. Okay, so that's a pretty malicious way of saying it, but this is really important in the form of advertising, marketing. How do you get clients?
What is it? When you call for action, it's a call for action, but with a timed response.
So yeah, you do a call to action. You can do a call to action where it's hey, book me. Hey, ask for a quote. But then
we only have 3 slots left.
Yeah, then you can add urgency by saying 3 slots left, or only within the next 12 hours, or the first 10 people that hit me up, or whatever. Those are all part of marketing. But in general, the point is, I want y'all to think about marketing differently. People think that marketing or networking is, let me go to you, let me offer you my services. Have you ever been to a networking meeting where the purpose is to network?
Yeah.
It is so fucking annoying.
Yeah.
When people are like, buy my product, me, buy my product. And it's just you don't want to be that person. It's not effective. It's annoying. You hate yourself. And you're like, I don't even know why I'm doing this. It's just really hard. It's just annoying. The one thing that you can do is that you want people to come to you. So one, I think in marketing, that means opening the door, having a call to action that is clear and obvious. Listen to the Mixing Music podcast. Submit a form on my website to get a quote. Hire me on Engine Ears or whatever it is. Find me on SoundBetter. better, have an obvious door. Most people don't have an obvious door on your website. If I should be able to find out what you want me to do as a visitor within 3 seconds of looking at your website. And if I don't see learn more or request a quote or purchase now on the very first page without having to scroll anywhere, your website fucking sucks. It's not going to not going to convert as many people. So number one is open the door. This may include being available on multiple platforms. If you are available on your website along with on Instagram and as well as on SoundBetter and engineers, like widening the net is another thing. When people come to you, you want to make it easy as possible. Another thing is accepting cash. Like, don't just do PayPal. Don't just do Zelle. Offer it all, and don't worry. That 1.8% plus 25 cents that you take for processing credit cards is fucking worth it. Don't even worry about it. That friction that you're causing by asking someone else to pay in different ways that is unaccommodating to them is fucking not worth it. Yeah. So just take the hit and again, make yourself so accessible. People all the time, and this is a tactic that can be used correctly, but in general, I think most of the time people accidentally close doors, don't show the doors, shrink the net, and don't even tell people, like aren't even looking like they're trying to capture anybody. The secret for good clients, for example, like when you provide value in this podcast, what I'm doing is basically telling y'all, all tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of y'all listeners, like, hey, I'm available for mixing and I know what I'm fucking doing. All right. And then all of a sudden I get a lot of people that come to me saying, hey, I want you to hire for my services. And that creates a better client, because the type of client that you just said before, the ones that come to you and say with respect, and they're like, hey, I trust you. I know you're busy, but that's like the ideal client from a mindset point. Yeah. So when you get people to come to you by providing so much fucking value, that is the best case scenario. You don't want to go to people and say, can I mix for you? That is a scenario that you want to eventually avoid. Like you want to build a brand and a platform where it's inviting. You just keep showing people the door.
So I'll counter that last notion. I still reach out to people.
Of course.
Because if I like somebody and I want to work with them, I'm just going to be honest. Hey, I've been checking your music out. I really like what you got going on. I'm sure you already work with somebody, but if you're ever interested in working together, I'd love to have the conversation with you, because I'd just love to be involved with your sound.
There you go. And yeah, even if you, and again, I think
we
like
don't
with
talk
networking,
numbers or anything at first.
The secret to networking is just try to be friends with people. Don't try to sell them your product. They'll find out what product you have and whether or not they want it, or they want to recommend someone.
Sometimes just bringing up your name is enough, but saying, hey, I'm a mixing engineer and I do this and I only charge X amount. Let me know if you'd like to work together. Like, I usually ignore all those messages, and most time people are sending those out as such quick shots that they get ignored, because usually they're so impersonal that, honestly speaking, you're usually hitting the wrong person. I've gotten so many messages from people like, hey, if you ever want to book studios, I have 3 and the engineer's free. I'm like, 1, I'm an engineer. 2, I already have multiple. So why?
Yeah. So
why did you think I was the demographic?
Yeah, it's something to consider for sure. Like, again, the problem most people have is that they do not have an obvious door and a sign pointing to it. Yeah. So it's a lot better of a relationship, and it's a lot healthier of a relationship if they come to you rather than you going to them. Yeah. There's just a balance of power there as well. We're going to keep going. This is going to have to be split into 2 or 3 parts, as like this is going to take way too long, because these are actually really good points, great jumping idea points. But anyway, number 9, win through your actions, never through argument. Yeah. Any momentary triumph you think you have gained through an argument is really a Pyrrhic victory. The resentment and ill will you stir up is stronger and lasts longer than any momentary change of opinion. It is much more powerful to get others to agree with you through your actions without saying a word. Demonstrate, do not explicate. So, come on. Like, that's so easy. Yeah. Don't tell them you're trustworthy. Show them you're trustworthy. Yeah. I mean, I love throwing away resumes that I get that say I'm a trustworthy person.
Why did you need to say it?
Everybody thinks the problem with humanity is that everybody thinks they're trustworthy. Everybody thinks they're above average. This is the Dunning-Kruger effect. Like, I don't trust you, You got to show me. And any manager, anybody that's willing to hire knows that that's the case. And here's the thing. Another thing too is like, if you, and this is a very specific to LA thing, if you come to me and you start name dropping immediately, oh, hell no. Oh, I've worked with this person. I've worked with Chris. It's like, if you really did, first off, you wouldn't need to introduce yourself because I would know who you are. If you were. Second off, that's a huge red flag. Yeah. That is a huge red flag for me. I do not trust you at that point.
Yeah.
Don't do that. Show with your actions. Show with your actions. Another thing too is if you really believe that a certain style of mixing, making the kick drum sounds like this, is the better way to do it, like do it. And if it was actually a better way to do it, they won't say to change it back.
Yeah.
They'll hear it. You don't have to argue for it. Just don't argue. Just listen to it. Anyway, that was a short one. I don't know if do we need to say anything? Any other anecdotes that you want to share on that one?
Anytime somebody says the phrase "trust me," I instantly don't trust you.
Hey, bro, trust me, bro.
No.
Trust me, bro.
No, I don't.
Hey, this hot sauce is not that spicy. Trust me, bro.
Actually, I could trust you on that one because 8 and 10 do deserve the swap.
Okay. That's an inside joke. Okay, nobody on the pod's gonna get that. But law number 10. This is an interesting one. I think this is also something that happens naturally. I don't think this needs to be a law. I think this is just human psychology and part of the reason why people will naturally float to the top and why most people will naturally float to the bottom or sink to the bottom. Number 10, infection. Avoid the unhappy and unlucky. You can die from someone else's misery. Emotional states are as infectious as diseases. You may feel you are helping the drowning man, but you are only precipitating your own disaster. The unfortunate sometimes draws misfortune on themselves. They will also draw it on you. Associate with the happy and fortunate instead. Come on, Lou. That's a good one.
Yeah, it is.
That's a good one.
I'm not going to lie. I teeter on it. I teeter on it for one reason. It's good because it's true. It's good because it's true. And it wouldn't be good if it wasn't true. But if I know somebody is typically above board personality wise and they're going through something, I can't just walk away.
Ooh, no, that's true. There's a mental health thing.
Yeah, there's times where people go through it and they're looking for somebody to reach out and like, because I've definitely been in the pocket where I don't know what to do and I don't know who to talk to. And if people were to walk away from me in that state, I don't expect to ever walk to you ever in my life again because you walked away from me when I needed you most.
Okay, let's separate this because I think because you helped me, but like when I was in a dark place.
Yeah.
And I'm really grateful for that. So that's actually really personal.
Yeah, only because the only reason I bring it up like that is because not everybody you work with knows you. And you need to acknowledge that in order for you to move forward in a much more healthy business relationship. But on a personal level, you should never assume to act in that notion.
Okay, so there's a lot of nuance here that I think we should unpack that it has directly to do with our industry.
Yeah.
Number one, there's a difference between personal relationships and people that are long-time friends that are having a momentary sign of weakness versus business friends. And here's the thing, from a mental health level, you want friends that are willing to be there for you no matter how hard it is.
Yeah.
On a business level, and this has to do with mental health, I don't give a fuck.
You should still be on
your shit. If you are depressing to be around, on a business level, I have no loyalty to you.
Yeah.
I have no loyalty to you. And I'm giving my business to someone else because they are a lot more pleasing to be around, even if they are worse at the craft.
Have you ever worked with somebody who every time something went awry, it's because something went awry in their life and they just couldn't calibrate?
Yes.
Yeah, it's like, hey, these files are late.
I've been that person before.
Yeah, but it's like, hey, these files are late. It's like, hey, really sorry, my tire popped. It's like, okay, that could be fixed in a few hours. This file is late 5 days.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
Like, if you're the type to make an excuse for everything, even if the excuse can't even relate to it.
Guard your reputation with your life, right?
Yeah. Yeah, so it's one of those where it's like when people complain a lot when they're like, oh, it's just because everybody, like, I'm gonna say one that I heard recently, and I can't take this guy seriously ever since.
What is that?
He said it's because Tizio is getting all the good songs.
Oh.
And I heard that and I'm like, listen, maybe you know or don't know, but me and Tizio are on good terms with each other. I wouldn't say we're like best friends or anything, but like we've done plenty of work together and we've had plenty of conversations. Tizio earned his shit. So you bitching and moaning about his success and that's the reason that you don't have success makes me think so much less of you.
Yeah.
That it's not even... I couldn't take that guy seriously ever since.
Oh, that sucks.
Like,
I don't even know who it is, but yeah, that would hurt me too. No, it's true. Like you want to avoid, and I think the people that do
like
really
at what point
well,
do they say that about me?
Okay, so yeah, that's true. And then here's the thing too. On the positive topic of this, I think things like maintaining and protecting your mental health, doing therapy, doing the hard thing of finding a therapist, committing to it, and you know, approaching your ego and confronting yourself with your ego and trying to work through your trauma is super important.
It's extremely important.
It's super difficult, but it's really important.
Yeah.
And I think that's part of the reason why I'm such a huge proponent of self-discipline is because the more you take care of yourself and the happier you genuinely become, the more people want to be around you. And honestly, in more ways than people realize, that affects how much business you get.
Yeah.
Like there's people in the chat right now, like one of the people that hires me, Trevor, who's the GOAT, right? If I was just an asshole because I didn't go to therapy, I guarantee no matter how good I am, Trevor wouldn't like me half as much.
Yeah.
You know, but now Trevor calls me every single night. He's just like, dude, how are your kids? I love you to death. I'm just so obsessed with you. And he's just like always trying to hang out with me and be my friend. It's amazing.
No, and
he's in the chat, so I'm giving
there's also a difference between healthy competitive
Trevor needs to
communication.
stop calling me. That's the point of
Trevor, stop it. Call me. Forget him. No. But like there's also a difference between healthy competitiveness, which is something I bring up a lot to everybody because I find different individuals my healthy competitor. You, for instance, being one. Because if I see somebody I know doing what I do and they're busy, why the fuck am I not busy? I don't like that for myself. So I'm not saying I need to beat them. I'm saying, I can't fall that far behind. What the hell? You know? With the acoustics design company
and
stuff
you're
that
very
I've been
like
doing,
happy about it. Like you don't look at me and get jealous. You look at me and like get motivated.
No, if you tell me like,
oh,
I just did this, I'm like, fuck yeah, congrats.
Yeah, and vice versa. Like there's things you do, and it's like, hell yeah. Yeah,
and so like on the acoustics side of things, I know there's like John Hunter and GIK and all that. That's like very popular in LA. But I don't look at it as like, I need to replace them. It's like, how do I match their output? Oh. What is going on there? What am I not doing that I could be learning from them? When you look at other people in the industry, like Baines has recently been added to the list of great 808 mixers, like great low-end mixers. Tizio wasn't put on that list. And I'm not even saying that those two need to look at each other and be like, hey, I need to get my low-end that way because they both fit a niche, right? But me and you also have a friend who's on that list, Bob. Yeah, and Bob's low end is always amazing to the point whenever I get to master a song for him, I'm always like telling him like, dude, this low end, like you've got my butthole vibrating. Like, what did you do?
Hold on, wait a second.
Hey, I'm just saying. Like,
also, dude, Bob. I mean, on that note, on this, like going back to the thesis of this law here, like he is one of the happiest and kindest people ever,
and he just cut the bullshit.
He is like you cannot help but be so. Yeah. You want to be around him.
Yeah. Yeah. And every time I hear about, like, I recently heard that James went to go visit him at his house. And even James is like, dude, he's such a cool guy. He's so easy to talk to. He's very down to earth. I'm like, yeah, honestly, like anytime I hit him up, I'm like, dude, do you want to go get sushi again? Like, I kind of miss our lunches.
There you go.
Something as simple as that.
Yeah. I'm going to move on to the next law.
Let's do it.
Law number 11. Learn to keep people dependent on you. To maintain your independence, you must always be needed and wanted. The more you are relied on, the more freedom you have. Make people depend on you for their happiness, on prosperity, and you have nothing to fear. Never teach them enough so that they can do without you. Okay, that last sentence is very bad.
It's completely a double-edged sword because let's say that...
Ignore that last sentence. That's less applicable.
Let's say that your job can only be sustained by your level of their level of
Let's
dependence
talk about the
on you.
reversal afterwards, because there is an obvious reversal.
Yeah.
That I know that you are very aware of.
Yeah, I'm very aware of this reversal.
Yes. Okay, so there's a reversal here, though. So before we get to the reversal, let's talk about that.
But
I don't think
true.
that you
It is
should
true.
become independent. You should become relied on by forcing people to rely on you.
Yeah, you should
That's
teach
evil.
people how to fish. Maybe not how to make sushi, but you should at least let them fish.
Yeah, but I think that you should teach people how to fish. Like, here's for example, like this podcast, I'm teaching people how to fish. So they trust me, right? But they also know that no matter how much they try, they may not ever be able to be good as I am at fishing because I'm also working on my fishing.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So it's like, then the competition, this is great for as far as like for a capitalist society, then it becomes really great because now the competition base is based off of quality.
Have you ever heard
skill.
the notion the student defeats the master eventually?
Yeah.
There's also a follow-up to that one, which is...
That's like the entire premise of Cars 3.
I never watched Cars, so I don't know. But there's a second notion to that, which is that's because the teacher stopped being a student.
No.
It's very difficult to outdo those that continue to push forward and learn. Something I definitely learned from Jimmy Douglas, who talks about how even he will ask his interns what they think is cool and sounds good.
Oh yeah, to stay relevant.
Yeah.
That's really important.
Yeah.
But anyway, learning to keep people dependent on you, I think more has to do with going back to the self-discipline, the quality of the work. Like being a mixer is a small but important part of the important cog of the entire machine.
Yeah.
And here's the thing, a mixer as a position is not so important and so unique that they can't just hire anybody else. Like the job and your ability is not something that makes people depend on you. It's the things around it. Again, the quality control, uploading good stems, naming everything correctly the first time, having really good quality, all like really good deadlines, being able to turn things around, like good communication. Those things keep people dependent on you because those are less found and way more valuable than your ability to mix.
And the funny thing is, like, the phrase dependent can be misconstrued as like almost a power trip. It's not really that. Like, if I depend on somebody, it's because I'm willing to give up my worries and put things in your control.
Exactly.
Remove
friction.
Yeah, remove the friction, but also remove any sense of like doubt. Like one of the biggest things that I had to learn when we first opened the studio was how to delegate, because I've always been the type of person to do things myself. But the people that I was able to confidently leave alone and not have to think about it, I could finally enjoy a moment of peace while I'm away, while there's active work happening. Those people won me over long term, because it's that sense of confidence that's been given through that, like, I need you.
Yeah.
I need you to be like on point, not because everything will go awry if one thing goes wrong. It's just, I need to know that you can handle it.
There's an Alex Hormozy quote that puts this into a different frame, different perspective here. He says, if you want to sell your product to rich people, offer twice the quality for half the amount of time.
Nice. Yeah.
Or the same quality for half the amount of time.
Yeah.
People
I'll
are
take
willing
care
to
of it
pay
for you.
significantly more if you're able to rush the process.
To be
rush the
honest,
product.
yeah, like if you told me, hey, you can delegate this part of the work for me, to me, it's going to cost you $50, but you can delegate this to me. I don't think of it as buying a product or buying a service. I think of it as buying my time, because my time was a very limited resource in the past. And now that it's become that much more available to me by systemizing and automating a lot of things, it's that much more valuable for me to maintain my time and my freedom.
There it is. And the obvious reversal, and I'm going to kind of generalize in this. You may have more I know you got more thoughts on this, but here is the classic reversal specific to our industry and what we do. Okay. And this is just any service industry. In our industry, which is very celebrity driven, right? You work with the people at the top, they're big celebrities. The fact of the matter is, when you're at the top of the game, it's very difficult to find people to trust that are helping you because they genuinely like you and not because they want something from you. It becomes very difficult to make friends when you're a celebrity.
Yeah.
It becomes very difficult to trust people when you're a celebrity. And here's the thing, no matter how much you work for them and how much you make them dependent on you, there's always going to be a little bit of a power play. And let me describe that power play for you. If someone who is in power and has a lot of power, a lot of we'll just say power, and a lot of money.
Yeah, I mean that part.
Then,
you gotta be able to employ you.
Yeah. And you are what you think is the right thing to do. Just the bend over backwards bitch. You're just willing to do anything and everything for them. Drop everything for them. Then what you do is you build a relationship where you are their bitch. And that is not a healthy relationship. That is the reversal to this law. You don't want to become so easily dependent on that you become someone's bitch. Again, you use this as a way to equalize or in order to gain power. So this is actually true. When you work for someone, you don't want to give everything, especially if they're above you in power or in social class. You don't want to give them everything, but you do want to be reliable, but do not ever sacrifice your boundaries for some clout.
Yeah.
Do not, like, if it's Chris Brown and you have committed to, like, for example, if one of your boundaries is I don't work past 9 p.m.
Yeah.
Chris Brown's like, you get this one opportunity to work with Chris Brown. It's like, it's 9 p.m. You're like, oh, fuck, I have to break a boundary. Let's say you decide it. This is a great opportunity. You break that boundary. You work with Chris Brown. Now he knows that you're willing to break your boundaries over him. And that's going to become an abusive relationship.
Yeah.
If you say no, you may lose that gig, but that's not a gig that you want to begin with. And here's the thing. There are a lot of people out there that are willing to take it up the ass every single fucking day.
The only reason you should break a boundary is if you're getting something in exchange, and it shouldn't be a clout moment. You need to create a collateral.
Yeah, and there are, like, for example, there are people in our industry that we know that are doing really, really well, that are very now high up the ladder.
But it took years of shit
because
eating.
they just they're able to take it up the ass every single fucking day, and they're just really good at taking shit, and that earn their place at the top. That is one way to do it, but that is very few and far between. That's not a gamble that I'm willing to make.
Yeah,
most of the people that I know are doing well.
So different.
Most of the people that I know that are doing well are people that respect their boundaries, and all of their clients know what their boundaries are, and they respect each other. And there's like this level of equal power and balance in this relationship where they're equally dependent on each other and they understand their boundaries. So there's respect. That is a really great way to build dependence, not over being someone's bitch. That is a really unhealthy way to build dependence.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, I said what I want to say. Because I know, I mean, I don't know if you want me to avoid this topic, but you had a recent relationship that kind of ended up becoming that way, that you discovered later.
Yeah.
You don't have to be specific.
No, it's not about
to
specifics.
share.
I've had this relationship multiple times over with different people, and each time is different. But recently speaking, there was a level of disconnect in between what it originally started off as to what it became. I'm not sure at what point it became it, but what it became was very unhealthy. And I think it negatively impacted both sides to a point where I did not think it was healthy or even conducive to a good relationship to continue working together. I think it would have made things worse.
Yeah. I think one way to negate all of this and to avoid a power imbalance is actually by having a mediator. For example, this is one of the great roles of a manager.
Yep.
If you have a celebrity, but you have a manager representing you, then they can talk their shit, like, Dee Kei's the best, Lu's the fucking best, he's going to kill your mix. They can talk, because most people have a hard time doing that on their own.
Yeah.
They talk you up and they put you on the same equal playing field as the celebrity. Does that make sense? That's one of the roles of the managers, to make sure that is balanced in that sense.
Yeah.
And then, and again, because the artist typically has a manager, if you have a manager as well, then the managers speak together. If you become the type of person that provides a service and it's so frictionless, it's so easy to work with, they will depend on you. They will keep coming back to you. It's a great thing. Okay, we're spending way too much time on this topic.
Which oddly enough happened in that situation anyways.
Yeah, that's actually really close to home because that's one of the first lessons I learned in LA. I know most people don't have an issue with power balances with celebrities, but that is a real thing that you have to think about when you're trying to build a career in a music city.
It could even be a basic employer.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's true. That
it could
is
be a
more
basic
universal.
employer. Yeah.
Yeah. So, like if you really, really like,
Working
let's
at
say you
your job.
idolize Elon Musk. You're like an Elon bro or gal, right? You just really believe it.
An e-bro.
And like that's all you're doing is making it easier for Tesla or Elon Musk to potentially take advantage of you.
Yeah.
So it's like, anyway, law number 16. This one's I think is going to be short. Use absence to increase your respect and honor. Too much circulation makes the price go down. The more you are seen and heard from, the more common you appear. If you are already established in a group, temporary withdrawal from from it will make you more talked about, even more admired. You must learn when to leave. Create value through scarcity. Again, looking busy, sounding busy, busy gets work. Another thing too, this is like in management in general. It's hard to fire a bad intern if you're really close friends with them. This is part of the reason why at the studio, I purposefully distance myself from you're the good cop at the studio. Like you're friends with everybody, but if we need to have a stern talking to, it's almost always going to be me.
Yeah.
Partially because I'm good at being a dick.
No, you
also
enjoy it.
I enjoy being a dick. Hold on, not being a dick. I enjoy being extremely honest.
Yeah, and direct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we also need someone to be friends with them. And it's harder to be direct and honest, especially in a way that you have to execute some sort of discipline.
Yeah, there needs to be a balance between like, hey, we're all here to work together as a team.
Yeah, you don't want to be
But
too
if somebody's falling off the wagon a little too often, then we need to correct that.
So that's from a management sense, right?
Yeah.
And I think that is pretty obvious in our situations.
Yeah.
Right. That's pretty universal. I will also say that in our industry, if you're the type of person that's like, hey, I'm looking for work. Hey, I'm looking for work. Hey, I'm looking for work. Here's a discount. Here, I'm looking for work. I don't think it's that big of a deal. But I can't help but think that may be a bad look. For example, like, I know this sounds really weird, but if you keep lowering your prices, that's going to make you lower your prices more just over time. That shows that you don't have enough product. You don't have enough value. Like, if anything, like, it's okay to raise your prices and be unattainable for some people.
Yeah.
Like, that's okay. Like, I don't know. That's not a universal principle. You got to like be careful and plan it out accordingly. But being scarce is a good, I know I hate saying this, but it's a good power move.
Mm-hmm.
Like to look busy, to be unavailable. And I think most people who are really busy naturally are.
Mm-hmm.
And anybody who is naturally actually really busy knows that there's a level of respect that you get
when you're busy. So it's kind of funny. I tend to be the type to distance myself naturally. This doesn't show a lot in public, but I'm an introvert through and through. The social battery joke that everybody makes, it's a little too true in my world. Like, once I shut down, just leave me alone for a week, But I've seen where people are like, oh my God, he must be busy. And I'm like, no, I'm just kind of emotionally recovering for a little bit. But it oddly has worked in my favor in the past on accident, where people are just like, hey, I don't know if you got time or something. It's like, I mean, I have time. I just didn't want to talk to anybody, but yeah, I mean, I'll take work all day.
There you go.
Yeah. So sometimes removing yourself, oddly enough, helps. Even if you did that intentionally or not. I've done it without intention, without a want to distance myself. Just sometimes you just need a break, a social break.
There you go. Yeah. Looking scarce, looking busy, looking like your time is valuable, gains a sort of respect. Okay, number 19, we're going to keep moving on. We only have a few left for this part 1 here. Number 19, know who you're dealing with. Do not offend the wrong person. Okay, now I'm going to read the description, the summary of this chapter. This is going to be, I'm going to read the whole thing, but this is we need to put this in the right context because this is pretty ridiculous. There are many different kinds of people in the world, and you can never assume that everyone will react to your strategies in the same way. Deceive or outmaneuver some people, and they will spend the rest of their lives seeking revenge. They are wolves in lamb's clothing. Choose your victims and opponents carefully. Then, never offend or deceive the wrong person. Okay, so basically they're saying, like, if you're going to manipulate and deceive people, just make sure you don't manipulate and deceive someone that can destroy your life.
Yeah.
Because they also understand the rule of, if you're going to destroy someone, destroy them completely. But I do think that the reason why I thought this would be a good discussion for this episode is because in our industry, which is really fucking small.
Yeah. Like,
you know, there's like 100 mix engineers that make a living off of it at the level that we do.
Like, the funny thing is, I think every single one of my clients as a mastering engineer is a mixing engineer. And all of them know each other. We
all know each other.
So if I were to do something wrong to one of them, how would I be able to control the spread?
Now, granted, I don't get work from other mixing engineers, so that relationship, that lateral relationship is not as important as like or that horizontal relationship. Yeah. Like versus like the artist or the producer, like
Yeah. I mean, I still got to deal with them too, because they always want to say.
So that's a little bit different. But at the same time, the one thing that I want to point out is exactly what you said. It's way smaller than people realize.
Yeah.
One bad review or one negative experience can be hurtful. Now, what I'm not trying to do is cause anxiety and make you overthink every single little thing that you say.
Just be honest.
Just be honest. Just be yourself. It's not worth changing your personality for each person.
It's not hard to be a good person. I promise you.
No, I'm going to say it is. Or it's hard to choose to be a good person. Most people don't want to do it.
And most people don't want to own up to the responsibility involved in being a good person, but It's actually not hard. A lot of times the magic is in the work you're avoiding.
Yeah, there you go. Did you quote something? That was beautiful.
I did.
Lou, that was beautiful. Okay. So I want to say this is something that I see Leslie Brathwaite posting on all the time on his social media. Like, this is one of his common topics that you see across the board, is his disappointment in people that were really doing well. They burn one person. And they decided to throw their, in Leslie's words, decided to throw their career away by fucking with the wrong person.
Yeah.
And we're not talking about mistakes. We're talking about ego gets in the way and you argue.
Yeah.
You know, that is just, it's just not worth it in this teeny weeny industry. So that's just something to consider. Do we need to say anything else about that? Lou, is there any other thoughts on that one?
Don't burn the wrong person. I think the flip side of that is don't deny the wrong person. There is a sense of like burning people through not wanting to help somebody who's just starting out. For instance, I don't think you're burning anybody by saying I'm too busy to help you. But I think that sense of personality shows when it comes to the reach back mentality. Those that grow, those that helped you, if you're not willing to reach back and help them in return, that's also part of what you're burning. If somebody helped you grow, whether they be, let's say, one of our interns, right? But you weren't willing to help your intern in return, give them education, give them some form of connection to help them apply somewhere, be a reference. If they were willing to do all this for you, but you weren't able to reciprocate, then it's very difficult for that person, let's say that they do become successful, to not look at you the way they did that day.
Yeah. Amen. All right. I'm going to do 3 more, and we're going to keep these quick for part 1 here.
Cool.
Number 23, law number 23, concentrate your forces. Conserve your forces and energies by keeping them concentrated at their strongest point. You gain more by finding a rich mine and mining it deeper than by flitting from one shallow mine to another. Intensity defeats extensity every time. When looking for sources of power to elevate you, find the one key patron and a fat cow who will give you milk for a long time to come. Now, the examples and the anecdotes that he gave in the book is like, for example, even an artist in the Renaissance age, it was better for that. They worked for some sort of royalty, some sort of like artists don't want to sell out. but it's
Yeah.
important to sell out to the right person. So that
Yeah.
was like one of the things too. Concentrate your forces. Don't be okay. Anyway, another thing as well that I want to talk about. I want to talk about niching.
Mhm.
Okay, quick example here to prove my point. You have a specific type. Let's say in this scenario, you find out, and God forbid this ever happens, right? But you get a specific type of lung cancer.
Uh-huh.
It's a rare form of lung cancer.
Yeah.
Okay, you have a general doctor, the family doctor that you go to.
Mhm.
Best in the world.
Yeah.
Articles written up, Forbes.
Yeah.
Just Forbes, half of the Forbes articles is just about how great this doctor is.
Yeah.
So many awards, so much recognition. Okay, number 2 doctor is another famous general cancer doctor. I forgot what the name of that specific doctor is. Cancer doctor.
Cancer doctor.
Okay, we'll just go with that because I'm dumb. There you go.
Yeah.
They have success in treating all forms of cancer. Brain cancer, testicular cancer, bullshit cancer, okay? Whatever.
Yeah.
Number 3, lesser known doctor, medium to low, lesser known doctor, but they only work on patients with your specific type of cancer. Who do you think you would trust?
I'm definitely going with the family doctor. No, I'm just kidding. No, obviously I'm going with the lung doctor. Come on.
Yeah, number 3, option number 3.
Yeah. That guy's about to get me a gold plaque.
Yeah, you're gonna. That's the thing. So, what I'm not trying to do is diffuse people's dreams and make people think that they can't do everything.
Yeah.
Here's the deal: in real life, if you want to be a singer-songwriter and a producer and
You could do it.
and a mix engineer and this and this and this, you can do it.
Yeah.
Statistically speaking, if we're looking at hard numbers, yeah, you probably won't be able to do it. Like,
No.
actually, not even a little bit.
Like once you're at the top of the food chain in your department, you could also branch out and sure, but that's assuming that you hit the top of the food chain in a department.
So there's a couple things that you need to realize will happen. Number 1 is don't force yourself into a niche.
Yeah.
Don't decide too early. Usually a niche is something that comes to you from experience. For example, I do know a lot of engineers. They were audio engineers. I know even a few that got awards. They like gold and platinum plaques. And then, but they, over the time, they were actually a producer, but they got more recognition as an engineer. And they're like, you know what? I need to go back to my roots as a producer. They give up their audio engineering career to become a producer.
And then it doesn't go as well.
No. In this scenario, in this case, it's going great for her. It's going great for her. But the point is, you can't do both. And I think in most scenarios, in her case especially, she doesn't want to do both.
Yeah.
Doesn't make sense. I think
most people don't want to do whatever they fell into.
Exactly. Most people don't want to do everything. Like, it's very natural for some people to be like, I fucking hate the mixing process. And like, I love everything else, or I specifically love recording vocals is my favorite. And
Like,
then there's
I know
some
a few
people that's
cats
like,
that are just recording only.
yeah. And for
Yeah.
me, I'm mixing only. Like, that is
Yeah.
mixing. Well, mastering too, but like mixing only. Like, I love it. I hate recording. I'm not as confident with producing. I can do it. I'm not as confident with songwriting. I can do it, but I just don't do it. And I've concentrated my focus into mixing.
Yeah.
And even within that, you can dive deeper within your niche. And this is actually true with podcasts as well. I'm going to talk about that in a second. But let's say that it is better to dig deeper if you are. So for example, if you naturally like punk rock music, I would not try to stay, I'm a general mixer. I would be totally okay with leaning into that and trying to get more specifically punk rock mixers. Like, that's this in business. It's not a bad scenario, assuming that you genuinely, from the purest part of your heart, genuinely like that part of the work. And more than any other part, then it is okay to corner yourself into that corner.
Yeah.
It is okay to just do that, to focus all of your forces onto that and only work on your strengths in that sense. For example, even in the podcasting world, statistically speaking, in our part of the reason why people like our show is that podcasts that are very genre bending, or like they talk about a lot of different things. So they don't go very deep, but they go very wide. Episodes and entire shows that do very wide amount of information do a lot. And this is YouTube too, do significantly worse than channels that go deep.
Yeah.
For example, like a podcast that talks about everything versus a podcast that specifically talks about the Roman Empire and its histories and the intricacies and how it works.
Yeah.
Like those podcast episodes that go deeper on specific niches do better statistically speaking.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. This is going to land more on the YouTube side, but there's a network that I watch on there that I originally found through oh man, why am I blanking on the original? This company used to subcontract a bunch of YouTube content creators, and they were really, really big for this. And then a bunch of their content creators started creating their own YouTube channels for the thing that they got really popular for under them. One of which is Watcher recently, and they do like unsolved mysteries or ghost files, things like that. And I love watching videos of people just going through haunted places, and a lot of them tend to be just that gimmicky, like, oh my God, did you hear that? Oh my God. But these guys are actually funny, and they actually will like call bullshit on themselves, be like, oh no, that actually was one of our cameramen farting, which is an actual clip. I'll show you the clip and you'll be like, wow,
Nice.
that was an impressive fart. But nonetheless, like they also do like ate too much food, played video games, did this, and I'm not interested in any of the other stuff. And to the point where me and Anna like frown when we see anything else uploaded. So like YouTube channels that focus on one thing and one thing only, you're likely to retain your viewers' eyes. And the funny thing is, every time that we've gone to their channel and just looked at how well the other ones are performing, they don't even get half the views on all the other things. But I'm sure there's only so many places you can walk and, do a haunting investigation. Sure. I'm sure that's a very limited niche area. So they're trying to expand to see what works. But because they're trying so many different things at the same time, it feels very cluttered and messy. And it just, for me, it's like, I came for this. I don't really care about the rest.
Yes, I'm going to throw out an idea. I may regret saying this out loud, but because I may do this, I may not.
Mm-hmm.
I probably won't. I mean, we'll talk about this, but first off, when finding where to concentrate your forces, it's important to recognize what you desire, what you want. It's a good idea practically to use jealousy as an indicator and as a compass. If you are jealous of someone for the work that they've done, that may indicate what you actually want.
I hate to admit, but that's actually a good one.
Take note of it. Like if you see someone that they're doing and you get jealous of it, it's like that your soul may be trying to tell your ego something. Like, hey, you want to do this, so don't force yourself into a niche. You gotta understand that that's something that you want to do, that you fully understand that you're willing to do it all for this, give it up all for this. You're willing to boundaries. It's very sacred to you,
do it all for the nookie.
And it's got to be authentic too. So that's part of the one.
Yeah.
It's got to be authentically you. Number two, it's like, again, a niche usually comes to you. You don't go out and find it. For example, this is specific.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to make a prediction here.
Mm-hmm.
In the next 1 to 3 years, I predict that double-edged safety razor videos on YouTube as a genre is going to blow up among men.
Double-edged safety razors?
Old school single blade safety razors shaving videos. How to shave. Come shave. Watch me shave.
Like,
reviewing razors. Reviewing safety razors. Sponsorships. New technology within that. I think there's a bubble coming up in the next 1 to 3 years that I think is a very untapped niche of an industry. I mean, imagine loving shaving so much that you review all the creams, all the aftershaves, all the different blades, all the combination of blades to handles to the being able to know what the weight is, things of that nature. It's stupid to us.
Well,
but that if you're gonna, that is the example of, if you're really into that, now is the time to start uploading videos. I'm making a prediction that's going to be the next mechanical keyboards. Mechanical keyboards blew up and had like a little bubble, a cultural bubble last year that burst last year.
Yeah.
Right. There's this cultural bubble of mechanical keyboards. I've one of my clients is a keyboard influencer. He gained over 500,000 subscribers in a span of like 6 months to a year.
Goddamn.
It was just like a cultural bubble. I think the next one is going to be shaving.
So something like that has already happened in bursts. It was butcher knives. So specifically like Latin carniceria butcher knives. custom engraved handles and all that kind of stuff, specific types of leather, the way the metal is actually cut, with what type of machine it's cut with, and then what type of metal it is, and how the metal actually affects the taste of the meat and this and that. To the point where my cousin was gifted like a $500-$600 butcher knife. And when I look at it, I'm like, that's very impressive. But I don't think I'm the demographic for it. But nonetheless, there's a demographic spending $500-$600 on said knife. So I would believe that the shaving side would probably blow up too. Because if you're not cutting meat, you're cutting hair, you're cutting something, there's going to be a niche for these types of knives and stuff. Do you remember?
Also, culturally, we're leaving the hippie stage of our left-right cycle through generations. Generational cycle.
Hipster stage is now becoming cliche.
Like as people, we are coming into a more conservative generation. Like it cycles every generation,
Yeah, so I wonder how...
Like PC culture peaked.
PC as in politically correct, or PC master race?
What?
You don't know about the PC master race? Like
versus Mac?
Yeah. Because with PCs, you can build anything you want. You can get your own chassis. You can have whatever operating system, play whatever games you want. But then Mac's just like the same thing all over the place. There's a subreddit, r/PC master race.
That's funny. Okay.
You're like, where's Lou going with this master race?
All right, we're gonna finish up this episode. We got like 2 more left.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm gonna briefly read this one. I'm gonna not spend too much time. It's pretty straightforward. Law number 25: recreate yourself. Do not accept the roles that society foists on you. Recreate yourself by forging a new identity, one that commands attention and never bores the audience. Be the master of your own image rather than letting others define it for you. Incorporate dramatic devices into your public gestures and actions. Your power will be enhanced and your character will seem larger than life. Okay, this is important, what we talked about before. You build a brand whether or not it's on purpose. So do it on purpose. That's the thing. And what we're not saying is people will misconstrue this law as like you need to create a false personality, a false persona, and just like live on that. I want to be totally honest with you. If you think that I'm brutal and honest in the podcast, I'm not that much different in real life. James.
If anything, worse.
Shut the fuck up. Okay, anyway, James, who was a fan of the show and now is one of my assistants, he knows firsthand, I am like this in real life. Lou, am I like this in real life? Yeah, fuck yeah. All right, here we go. Anyway, but there's a certain part of you that you can, as you get older and as you choose to, like, choosing self-discipline is you're recreating your own image. It's a choice you decide you want to do it. You decide you want to be more self-disciplined. You decide you want to go to the gym. You decide to make your bed. Those are things that actually eventually become part of your personality. This is a quote from one of my favorite books of all time, The Go-Giver. Mm-hmm. If you are the type of person that has to choose to be kind, you are not kind, because choosing to be kind insinuates that at one point of that decision, you contemplated whether or not it was worth the benefit of being kind in that scenario. Yeah. People that are actually truly kind never even realize that there was an option not to be. And it takes a lot of consistent decision to be kind in order for that to eventually evolve into nature and habit. Yeah. Okay, so...
and the funny thing is...
So that's, in that sense, you recreate your image, your brand. Yeah. You decide what you want to be like. You say, I want to be this type of human being. Maybe you have someone that you look up to, and you make consistent decisions to rebuild yourself to be like that, hopefully for the positive. Yeah. Right? And you can recreate, again, how busy you look on social media. You create your brand on purpose rather than a brand being created from you. Again, the quote from that is, be the master of your own image rather than letting others define it for you. Yeah.
For a lot of people, you hear the notion that, well, I understand that it's necessary to become this person and to talk or be direct or whatever, right? But I don't want that friction with people. Okay. There's a huge flaw in that. And the flaw is so big that it's overseen by so many people. If you have to be direct with people, it's because they've already been fucking up. And those that have an issue with you calling them out on their bullshit don't care for growth. They don't care to right a wrong. At which point, the phrase real recognize real really just comes down to like, hey, those that really come to be around these type of people and see eye to eye with them is because they all have the same notion in their mind already. We're here for growth. We're here for success. And this is what we're doing. If you're not part of this, yes, we will react a certain way. Yes, we will communicate that we have an issue. And if that's an issue for you that we would communicate these things, then you're obviously not ready to be in the room. Mm-hmm. So you not being here, you not trying to have this conversation just shows me that I shouldn't even be talking to you. Real recognize real.
Amen. Real does indeed recognize real.
Yeah. Would you not agree to that?
In other
the
words,
more that you grow yourself,
words,
you recognize those that have objectively decided to not grow themselves.
In other words, Lu recognizes Dee Kei and Dee Kei recognizes Lu.
Yeah. And then we also recognize those around us that are like, yeah, I'm just like you guys, but I'm going to fuck it all up.
Okay, we're gonna end the episode on this one. Hopefully it's a good one. Let me look at this. I
still want to touch base on that one that I brought up earlier.
This is a good one. I'm gonna skip number 27 because that's the. I'll just briefly describe play on people's need to believe to create a cult-like following. Use social media. Know what you're talking about and don't teach something that you personally haven't accomplished. For example, I think the big takeaway from that one is like
how to get a gold plaque without having a gold plaque.
Yeah, exactly. So that's one thing that we've been very clear on this podcast is I'm not trying to tell you how to be a multi-Grammy winning thing until I get there. Then I'll tell you exactly how it is I did it. But right now I'm telling you how to make a living from this. And then having a full-time living from mixing is something that I've been doing for the last decade. So, okay. So I want to be clear about that. Okay. Number 30. This is a fun one to end on because it's kind of like a little off the wall here. Law number 30. Make your accomplishments seem effortless. Your actions must seem natural and executed with ease. All the toil and practice that go into them, and also all the clever tricks must be concealed. When you act effortlessly, as if you could do much more. Avoid the temptation of revealing how hard you work. It only raises questions. Teach no one your tricks, or they will be used against you.
Okay, I think this one goes back to the earlier.
How do you think? How do you think I was going to do this? Like, what do you think?
If you wanted to sustain power, you wouldn't teach people how to raise to your ranks.
Oh, okay, that's a little bit of
that's a little bit too much on the shady side of the book. But
yeah, that's pretty parasitic.
Yeah, but let's say that you wanted job security. You could just turn in the work and say, yeah, we did it great and this and that. It's like, oh, was it a lot of work? It's like, there was some work, sure, but nothing I couldn't handle.
Yeah.
You don't have to over-explain, which is the rule from earlier.
Say less.
Yeah, because it goes back to the whole like, hey, I'm really sorry if I'm asking for a lot, this and that. It's like, hey, no worries, I got it done for you.
It's actually, the book even says that it's better to be seen as a prodigy and as to be seen someone as special that nobody else can be like this person. This person just has really good. It's better to be seen that way and to build a brand that way than to be someone that has gotten there from hard work.
Yeah.
It's just naturally.
Like the people that pop up out of the blue in the industry and you're like, where the fuck did this person come up from? It's like, well, they've been around. They just decided now was the time to show themselves.
Now, it does go in the opposite sense in like an influencer where a lot of like people that follow or subscribe to people and ideas, they want to see progress. For example, like a running channel. Like I want to see the person that I follow on this running YouTube channel. I want to see him continue to get PRs and improve his times and get better. Like it's fun to see him get better because I feel like I've been part of that journey.
But maybe you're not showing the diet issues that have been going on.
Yeah, like he doesn't. So I think one is related to don't hang out with people that are unhappy and unlucky.
Yeah.
So don't show people the struggles that you go to. And I'm not saying in a toxic way, like take care of yourself during the struggles, but try to avoid, in a healthy way, try to avoid being the unhappy and unlucky person in other people's lives.
Yeah.
Because they will naturally find that repulsive. Okay. Yeah. So take care of yourself, seek help, whatever you need. Another thing that I think is really important with this is something I was thinking about is, dude, I like, asking for revisions, saying things like, oh, that's going to take so long. Oh, I'm working so hard already. Oh my gosh, that is such a bad look.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, you don't realize how hard this is.
Yeah.
That just makes people like not want to hire you because they don't want to burden you.
Yeah.
That's one way of looking at it as well. Yeah.
Yeah. To be honest, if you make somebody feel like they are the issue,
oof,
I'm just saying you're likely the issue.
damn.
Like, don't tell your client that you're making their life harder or they're making your life harder. Just just don't work with that person.
Yeah, either don't work with it or don't.
Why would you vocalize the issue of their existence and their request if you didn't want to take on the work?
Yeah.
So, at the end of the day, like making it seem like the work is so hard and this and that goes right back into where it's like, oh shit, maybe you're not the right engineer for the job either.
Yeah. So, and then also like, you don't want to be, so this is interesting because you want to be scarce by looking busy.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you don't want, the point of this chapter is to not look like you had to work really hard to do well.
I think setting an expectation date is the key to that.
Okay. Here's the specific anecdote from the book. Renaissance paint artists, for example, Michelangelo. Michelangelo. These artists, Michelangelo would not allow anyone, including the patron who funded the project, to ever look at their work mid-progress.
Yeah.
Because these artists knew that if someone saw the progress and saw how much work and effort into the details that it actually took, it would kind of ruin the magic by the time they see the finished product. But in order to have this sense of wonder and amazement, they would hide it completely until it was the finished product, and then they showed them, and then it felt magical.
Yeah.
Right? And I think this relates in a mixed sense as well. Like, I love when people watch me mix. I like that communication. But I don't think that you should be unafraid, and I'm not saying you should purposefully build barriers, but it's actually helpful if you are the type of person where they just drop off their tracks in a box. You get them from the box and you mix it and you send it back to them. And it's just like so easy. They don't see the process. They don't see how much you struggle with them. You could be swearing up a storm. I can't fucking believe they use this microphone. This is the worst vocal chain ever. They don't want to. They don't want to know. You don't want to tell them the struggles that you went through. They just want to hear a final product.
Yeah.
And if you can do that quietly, silently, without them knowing, when they get it back, they'll be like, oh my gosh, you're a god.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't, I'm not saying to avoid letting people part of your process, but I would say that it's okay and I would say that to a certain degree, you kind of want to avoid showing people your secrets, because at the end of the day, and here's the real thing that I really want to get to, and this is for all influencers, for all podcasters, anybody that talks about audio engineering and mixing, the real fucking truth behind Manny Marroquin, Serban Ganea, behind Tony Maserati, Jesse Ernster, the real fucking truth that people don't want to admit is that there is no secret. There is no specific vocal chain. There is no style of mixing that is universally correct, that works better every single time. Top down, bottom up, limiter on, limiter off, specific reverb. There's no such a fucking thing. And here's the thing. Most people want to believe that you have a magic. There is magic. So this is extremely pertinent to us.
Yeah.
People genuinely cannot believe that Serban Ganea mixes in the box. Cannot believe.
Yeah.
What the fuck? Andrew Sheps was really good at deceiving people. Not incorrectly deceiving people, but like making people feel like he's a lot more thoughtful because his workflow is so complicated.
Have you seen his most recent studio?
Yeah.
It's just a bedroom with a bunch of acoustic panels.
But I mean, like, he's the guy that parallels everything. So it's like you feel like there's some magic going on. But at the end of the day, the fact is there is no magic.
Yeah.
And what we're trying to do as a podcast is to kind of open that up and to show you that the difference between you and Manny Marroquin is just a few lucky hits, potentially. And then also decades of skill. But skill built from decades of experience, right?
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, the good thing is, like, as much as Manny is special to me, he's still human. He's not infallible, So
like when people say
infallible.
like, oh, they've got these amazing ears. I don't think it's necessarily that. I think everybody's hearing goes out by the time they're like 30, you've already lost so much. So when we're talking about engineers that are closer to 50, they've also just lost so much more. it's not the magic ears, it's the magic in their approach, their technique, the knowledge that they put into things and what they're listening for. And most times everybody's like, oh, the magic's in the mid-range. They know where the magic's at. They know what's tried and true. And that's really the differential. It's not about this one magical technique. It's about the many magical techniques that they know that they can pull from their mental archive. It's not like they have a book where they wrote down these specific settings for every analog piece. Chris Lloyd-Alge is famous for being known as a guy that never changes the settings on his compressor. He just feeds signal into it until he likes it, and that's it. But it's one of those things where it's like he knows what he's listening for. It's not this one frequency that he can hear that nobody else can hear. It's his approach and knowing what he's listening for.
Yeah. And here's the thing with this chapter is that he specifically says that people don't want to find out that it's not magical. So for example, finding out that Serban Ghenea and Manny Marroquin uses techniques that are probably more outdated than anything that you know. Mm-hmm. That doesn't sell. That's not going to sell courses. That's not going to make people want to buy their plugins from Waves. Their branded plugins. It doesn't sell. People don't want to believe that. People don't want to believe that sometimes hits just become hits on accident. Nobody knows why. There's no analysis that goes into play. People want to intrinsically believe that there was some sort of magic because what it does is it suppresses their own ego because people don't want to believe that they're below average or they're just average. Or so what they're doing is saying that I can't be like them because they're just this way.
Yeah.
So that's something that happens naturally within the human psyche. So you got to use this to your advantage. Another thing that Serban Ghenea does specifically on the contrary is the scarcity thing, that just not being there too much. Like he doesn't post anything on social media. We don't know what he does. And like it kind of creates among engineers, like he's this golden boy that like nobody knows what the fuck he does. And there's a higher respect for his mixes. Even if they were astoundingly average, people just think that they're better because of the branding that he's created, partially because he's so mysterious.
Yeah.
So it's to the point where there's like literally like cult like following of him. Like there's no people know that's like people really genuinely believe that he doesn't mix in the box. Like he must be lying. It's too good. He's way too good. So it's like, I don't know. There's a lot to go into this, but we'll keep it like that. So I would recommend to play into that, to look effortless in your endeavors. And I think that this will force you to also with self-discipline. Like don't complain, just do the work. Be easy to work with. Remove friction, and your career will blossom slowly. But it may be slow, but this is the most reliable way to build your career through self-discipline, through self-control, and through consistent reputation building.
Yeah. So I wanted to very quickly just touch on that one that I brought up at the beginning of the episode that you had mentioned, destroy your enemy thoroughly.
Oh, that's the bonus one. Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Hold on. Let me read that one. Bring it up. Why is that? Why did you?
Because it can be used positively and in a way that like, it doesn't sound positive. Destroy your enemy thoroughly.
Okay, hold on. So Law 15, crush your enemy. This is a bonus, by the way. I couldn't figure out a way that this relates to the industry, but Lou's saying he can, so we'll give him a shout.
Oh.
But Law 15, crush your enemy totally. All great leaders since Moses have known that a feared enemy must be crushed completely. Sometimes they have learned this the hard way. If one ember is left alight, no matter how dimly it smolders, a fire will eventually break out. More is lost through stopping halfway through total annihilation. More is lost through stopping halfway than through total annihilation. The enemy will recover and will seek revenge. Crush him, not only in body, but in spirit.
Okay, so remember how I told you there is positive ways of viewing competition or competitiveness?
Okay.
Once you find out what
I'm
the
so
difference,
interested in
once
where
you
you're
find
going
out
with
what the difference is, I'm not saying that I'm after GIK or John Hunter or anybody in the acoustic world, right? But
who make acoustic panels and you make acoustic panels.
Yeah, but the more work I get in acoustic design, like I recently got contracted for another, like one of my childhood favorite artists of all time, and he got acknowledged as part of like hip hop legends and stuff like that for like the 50 years of hip hop stuff going on. I'm designing a studio now. And so part of it has me thinking like, well, if I wanted to do this, because all these massive projects that I get are all word of mouth. What if I were to actually take the dive forward? What if I were to actually find a friendly competitor, somebody that I want to match, if not outdo? Why wouldn't I try to create a better website and system of ordering? Why wouldn't I create a better system of actually developing the product? Why wouldn't I actually want to find a way to cut the cost of the product and match its quality, if not surpass it? Why would I not want to lower the amount of friction required in getting it into your space and installed at a reasonable price point? Why wouldn't I want to completely dominate every aspect that there is available to dominate? Why wouldn't you want that? I would, oh my God, do you realize
That's true. Okay,
if
I
these
see the
people
direction.
can make
I see
that
the
kind of money, and I've kind of naturally fallen into this thing. I'm not saying that I'm like really after it, but as you could tell, like I am eagerly motivated to outdo those around me, not because I want to see them burn, not because of that, but because your success is motivating me to know that it's possible. And if it's possible, I can only blame myself for not going after it. So as my friendly enemy, I want to leave you in the dust and have that success for myself.
So this is actually a really good point. So you're not saying, the book kind of insinuates crushing them if you're in a place of power. The classic archetype is a king that failed to, the brother of the king killed the king, but failed to kill the king's son. And the son eventually grows up and kills the brother, the uncle, which is basically a classic archetype. I mean, the Northman was so good. That's that exact same story. Hamlet, right? Or was it Hamlet? Anyway, so the point is, that's kind of the direction but you're saying to crush your enemy totally through quality. Yeah. By being so damn good and so
easy to communicate with.
Yeah, so good that you make them look so bad. You make your competitors look so fucking bad. And with that, I 100% agree. I 100% agree.
Crush your fucking enemy. Make up the enemy in your head, whoever it is. But just remember, it's all friendly. You're not actually trying to destroy anybody. Everybody's got to eat. And we are in an industry that, as small as it is plentiful. Boom. The rain has never stopped. Even when the recession hit, even when the fucking pandemic hit, creatives did not stop being creatives, which means that as their demand for people's entertainment kind of grew, the demand for quality kind of shrank, sure. But that also meant that there was an abundance of clients out there that you could reach out to. So people who didn't do it before. Why wouldn't you try to make the most of everything that's in front of you?
Yeah. Amen. Amen. Crush your enemies.
To the point of no return?
What is it?
I don't know.
Crush your enemy totally through quality and customer experience.
Yeah.
Boom. I think that's a great way to end this podcast.
Yeah.
I love the idea of having a product so fucking good that you
can't fathom a competitor.
You demotivate people.
Yeah.
That aren't willing to put in the work.
And those that are motivated by it will grow alongside you and eventually be the people that you're also trying to grow past. Because some people might find your flaw, and that's a good thing. There's
a level of me that's like totally okay with like people listening to this podcast realizing how hard it is that we work, and we just crush their dreams completely. It's like, I will never be able to be like them. And I'll be like, fuck
because
yeah.
I would rather work with those that heard this and been like, you know what? Let's fucking go.
Well, yeah, and there's the true person that's going to do well is like the person that doesn't have a plan B. They're just so willing to go through the bullshit that they're going to make it. People that get scared, listen to us and get scared and are unmotivated because they never realize how hard it is to do this shit.
Yeah.
Then I will say it's like, that's good because you're making room for everybody else who's willing to put in the work.
Oh, yeah.
So it's like, crush your enemies completely. Oh.
This one's about to come and crush you.
My second son, my youngest son, just walked in. Hello, Kyo. You want to say hi?
Hey, buddy.
Let's end this episode. Say hi, Kyo. You want to say hi into the microphone?
Yeah.
Say Louder. Motta. Okay, he's not going to say anything. All right. Well, thank you so much. And on that note, again, if you want to support us in a completely free way, leave a 5-star review on whatever platform you use, whether it's Google Podcasts, Apple, Spotify, etc., etc. If you are interested in hearing specific techniques on how to improve your mixes from breaking down techniques point perspective, go to mixingmusicpodcast.com/exclusive, sign up for $4 a month or $40 a year, and you get 2 extra episodes, exclusive episodes hidden behind a paywall every single week. And we break down techniques, mixing techniques that are practical. We give homework and ideas. Go check that out. Once again, mixingmusicpodcast.com/exclusive and become a subscriber. And on that note, I will say, happy mixing, my friends, and stay saucy.